"Get ready, Melissa. It's time to hit the road," Eric says restrainedly, and at the same time insistently, the sound of his words reminiscent of an ordinary invitation to a tea party. "Eric, you promised that dark magic no longer affects you because Johnson is here." Melissa's voice is full of despair. Eric's behavior clearly indicates that his judgment is clouded. "My will is stronger than ever," Eric grins, but rest assured, their emissaries are close. "You are crazy?" Tall Eric quickly closes the distance between them. Melissa involuntarily steps back. "I finally found out everything when I came out of this madness in these 2 days." He points to the ground, meaning their house, Melissa's once sweet home. "But you yourself wanted Johnson so much. This is the son of my enemy." Melissa is well aware that Johnson is not Eric, but it was he who wanted to take the boy under protection, despite his powerlessness to have his own children. However, his words resonate painfully in her heart. "You found this sorcerer yourself." Her words are drowned in the silence of the room. "You needed Johnson." Of course, Melissa also really wanted to have a child. However, it all started with Eric. "Let's end this conversation, Melissa. Return to your room and save your magic potions and old scrolls. No need to cause outrage. And try to look in the mirror at least once and fix your hair." Melissa quietly pinches her hand, dreaming of waking up. In their magical land, there can be no selling of people. This is complete absurdity. "Your charms have blinded you," she repeats through clenched teeth. Eric immediately closes the distance and grabs Melissa's wrist, giving her no time to resist. He leads her to the door of their room. Melissa and little Johnson have spent the last months in this room, and now she must leave it. "Hurry up and pack your things for Johnson, and get dressed yourself. They will come for you in half an hour." Melissa seems so small and fragile, especially after all the difficulties she has endured. She is no match for Eric's physical strength, and her spirit has almost deserted her due to lack of sleep, living on terrible savings, and the burden this crazy world has become for her. At 23 years old, she had already seen a lot. She worked in the Guild of Magicians. She herself treated the illnesses of the middle-aged king. Eric promised to take care of her and their precious son. However, once Johnson's fate was sealed, Eric became a completely different person. "Leave already if you don't want me to be forced to take you away from here." Eric's voice is full of anger, and a chill runs through Melissa's heart. It would be better if she really got ready, called a carriage, and quickly went to her mother. "Thank God my father is now in the hospital due to a weak heart. She has long been a late child in the family, and her parents are no longer young. And fortunately, little Johnson remains in deep sleep all this time. He means so much to her, although at the moment of conception she felt something strange. At first, Melissa was worried and doubtful, but later, she loved the baby much more than her own life. After his appearance, her whole world changed dramatically. "Everything will be fine, my baby," she whispers. The shock and fear are such that Melissa cannot even shed a tear. "If only we could get out of here unharmed." She quickly throws into the chest the things she might need: underwear, a night robe, a home suit, warm blanket, and knee socks. "You probably won't need work clothes anymore." She hopes to return for him later. Surprisingly, Melissa is still able to think logically, perhaps because she understands that she will soon not have money for new clothes. All the little things Melissa cleans up almost everything. There were not many gifts, and she chooses only the best and most necessary. Perhaps she will be able to grab the stroller that is below. She breathes deeper, collects her thoughts. It's time to call the crew via the app. "Hurry up, the courier has already arrived for you. Your team is waiting below." Melissa was speechless. Whose crew? In fact, she begins to realize that Eric has no control over himself. That is why she wanted to run away without asking any more questions. Who did he hand over them to? But now the time has come for dialogue. "From Prince Krasilnikov. His footman is there, and I will take all your things outside." The situation becomes even more unclear. Did he mention the name of his inseparable comrade? Are you talking about Myron? What's your plan? Miron Krasilnikov, Grave Prince. The shining star is much taller than Eric. They are both 35 years old. Myron was married and separated from his wife a year ago. Melissa and Eric have known each other since childhood, thanks to their older brother. She always looked at Myron with some apprehension. "Enough." Eric frowns irritably. "I decided to make a deal with you. Myron decided to buy. That's all. It is in your best interest to behave decently, And don't delay. Fix your hair already." Melissa is shocked and, as if in a fog, obediently approaches the mirror in the hall and takes a comb from the shelf. He runs it through his hair. It's a beautiful chocolate color, but too soft and prone to tangling. And now she looks like she came out of a whirlwind. My eyes seem to become even larger and rounder in my pale face. There was no trace left of the dark circles under the eyes due to fatigue, and instead of them all the blush disappeared. At this moment, I feel broken, like whitewash on a wall. I gather my hair into a neat ponytail, take Johnson in my arms, hold him tightly to me, and carry him to the exit. He is wrapped in a warm carrier, but I don't take it by the handle, but wrap my hand around it. Fear takes over everything inside of me. Don't be late. Myron doesn't like to wait. Eric knows better, because they are old friends. Over the years, Myron has delighted me with his powerful, athletic physique, piercing eyes, and witty jokes. He could mercilessly make people laugh or refer to the truth by turning to sarcasm. He never treated me that way personally, but rumors were widespread. In my youth, I tried to avoid his directness, not to fall under his furious humor. Then I became the wife of his friend, and from then on he seemed to stop noticing me. Politeness was maintained, but there was no particular attentiveness. How did it happen that he now turned to me? "Eric, please let me go to my mother. People cannot be sold," I say to my possibly ex-husband, like a man who has lost his mind. He nudges me gently again. "Myron has already transferred the money. If you decide to complain to someone, it will be a big mistake. And remember, your child is nothing to me, and he will not cause me pity. But you yourself wanted this child. You yourself found a donor," I object, repeating myself again. Eric greets this with an evil grin. "You don't know the whole truth. He is right. There's a lot I don't understand lately. My baby's father remained an unknown donor to me. I also don't know what happened to Eric, why he changed so much. Why did everything go wrong between us? After all, our relationship has always been so calm and normal. I happily married him, glad that I found love and family. And although we were not as rich as Myron, we always had enough to live on. Please let me go." Eric simply nods his head. "You'll leave now anyway." He puts more pressure on me, and I understand that for the safety of the child, I must come to terms with the situation. But what awaits us ahead? Why does Krasilnikov need someone else's wife and child? With his appearance and condition, he could win the heart of any model. I also look good, a slender figure, which became even more graceful after childbirth, pleasant facial features. True, my external shine is not ideal now, and my eyes probably don't have the usual fire. Why does a rich businessman need a tired young mother? We leave the entrance and Eric takes the stroller, but I'm no longer happy about it. There is a large carriage standing by the road near the house. It is not black, but dark burgundy. It's actually quite beautiful, but for me now it doesn't matter. Standing near the carriage is a stocky, gray-haired, middle-aged man, stooped, with a cane in his hand. "Hello, my name is Lucas. There's already a car seat for the baby in the back," the man says with a good-natured smile, and I suddenly begin to hope that maybe I'll be able to persuade him to take me to my mother. It seems crazy, but I cling to any hope. Eric puts our bags in the trunk with amazing zeal. Left alone with Lucas, the idea of escaping struck me. I approach the driver, trying to collect my thoughts and words, but my silence is interrupted by a powerful engine and the car door opening, and I don't live up to my intention when he comes out. Miron Krasilnikov, our client. It looks even bigger, but it definitely looks sportier. His gray sweater seemed tailor-made for him, and the black cardigan over his shoulders looked as organic as a sophisticated tuxedo. Black jeans hug his strong legs. I involuntarily study him from head to toe, desperately trying to grasp an understanding of what is happening. "Calm down, Melissa. We'll be heading home soon," Myron says in a calm tone. Holding Johnson in my arms, I look straight into Myron's eyes. "Eric and you put on some kind of crazy show? What do you mean when you say he bought me from you? In any other situation, I would never allow myself to treat Myron in such a tone. But now that I have nothing but a baby and worry, I can take the risk. We'll discuss everything along the way," he continues casually. "Now your task is to take care of your son. Shell, he doesn't touch me, unlike Eric. He just waits, succumbing to the cold, dank wind. Spring has already come, but today it's not warm. My legs can barely support me. "Get in the car, Melissa," he repeats patiently. There's no point in deliberately causing trouble. Is he seriously talking to me like that? I sigh heavily. "Myron, what do you want from all this?" Despite everything, Johnson and I found ourselves in the warm interior of the car. Lucas carefully helps us get settled, and our ride home is filled with silence. Only Myron and the driver exchange brief remarks from time to time. I continue to be silent. Sleep attacks me more and more. My eyes close by themselves. And only when I was almost falling asleep, I heard Myron's voice. "Melissa, don't sleep." Usually Eric's irritating tone was put into such words, but the man next to me says them completely calmly. It was as if he knew it was time to calm my frightened heart. The memory of the last few hours makes my soul turn cold, and I take a deep breath. "You feel bad?" Concern appears in his voice. My reaction borders on irritation. "How do you think?" There was no answer. "Lucas brought your things and the stroller. Let me help with Son." "No." Ignoring the help he offered, I get out of the car myself. Myron follows next to me, but does not touch me. I take the child and do everything possible not to burst into tears while walking. The last thing I need right now is to trip and fall while holding a baby. I look around, and I can't even imagine where we are. Everything around seems familiar. Apparently, this is some kind of underground parking. "This is my mansion." Myron answers my unspoken questions. "Come on, I'll show you where you will live." He confidently walks ahead, leaving me to simply follow. Krasilnikov, who has not lost his manly charm despite his scale, reminds me of an unpredictable predator, and I suddenly feel like vulnerable prey in his abode. We soon reach a spacious room, designed in the shape of an elegant ellipse, where the reception area, dining area, and relaxation area are conveniently harmonized. I carefully look around to see if anyone else is here, but it seems like we're alone. The bedrooms are located on the floor above, Myron calmly notes. "First, deal with Johnson, and then we'll discuss everything." I frown involuntarily. "You don't have to tell me what to do with my son. First, explain what this all means. And then, let me go." Myron's facial expression loses its characteristic inscrutability. "Release? Where should I send you, Melissa? Let's return to Eric, who has long had other concerns and interests. Or his parents, with whom he will not stop playing cat and mouse, taking away their last crumbs. Perhaps you would prefer to go to your brother, who is already burdened with his own problems and obligations." My eyes close under the weight of these words. Myron always knew how to see the essence, and spoke without reserve. "Why did you buy me?" I gather my will into a fist, reminding myself that I am no longer the same girl who listened out of the corner of her ear to the conversations of her brother and his comrades. "Eric doesn't need someone else's child anymore. But why do you need all this?" Myron's lips pressed into an even more stern line, perhaps hesitating. However, soon the habit of frankness takes over. He is not one to shy away from the truth. "I have always been open to the idea of fatherhood, and your question about Johnson is not the most important at the moment. Johnson is my son. My ears are ringing from emptiness." "What?" "I was your donor, Melissa," he continues firmly. "And now I'm going to step fully into Johnson's life as a father. You and he will not want for anything." "But why did you start all this?" The words fly out of me. I can't believe my ears. Myron slowly shakes his head, as if trying to find the right words. "I have the results of a DNA test that I ran through reliable channels not related to Eric. But everything is not as simple as it seems at first glance. First, get settled, and then we'll discuss everything that concerns you." Johnson begins to cry tearfully, as if confirming Myron's words. "I wouldn't be me if I didn't resist, but my child needs me most now. Looks like I'm not in the enemy's house. As far as I remember Miron, he was always more or less constant in his aspirations and actions. Still, my heart is pounding with anxiety, and there is a lump in my throat." "Where can we settle?" I ask, trying to remain calm. Myron nods towards the stairs. "Let's go upstairs," he suggests. Letting me lead the way, Myron leads me down a bright hallway to the top floor. Stopping in front of one of the many doors, he quietly pushes it open, and I freeze in amazement. A spacious, brightly lit children's room opens up in front of me. Without hiding my admiration, I glance around the room. a huge window filling the room with light, a cozy armchair in the corner, bright white walls on which drawings of animals playing in the forest are barely visible, a high canopy bed topped with toy stars, and, opposite, a cozy rocking chair that invites you to nestle and comfort a tired baby. "You will sleep here with your son," he says, pointing to a sofa against the wall, equipped with comfortable pillows. "When did you plan all this?" My thoughts revolve around incredible possibilities. Were these plans really in the air even before my pregnancy? Myron answers me with a smile and shakes his head. "Don't worry. I wouldn't use such a difficult situation to create supernatural scenarios. Of course, I needed to prepare a place for you two, given that we are dealing with a small child." He casts a fleeting glance at Johnson, who every now and then makes sounds to me, demanding attention. "Remember this. I will always be around here somewhere." Myron leaves me alone, quietly closing the door behind him. I lift Johnson out of his portable chair and begin to look around. This is not at home. I don't have even half the comfort and beauty in our modest bedroom. But here it seems as if every detail has been carefully thought out and prepared to ensure exceptional comfort and safety. I gently lay Johnson down in his crib and, unable to cope with the overwhelming calm, meditate on his innocent happiness in his sleep. My thoughts are gradually becoming clearer, and I realize the need to find Myron and find out what really lies behind this unexpected claim. I go downstairs, heading to the place where I left Myron earlier, and find him at the table in the office. The work is in full swing, but I cannot freeze waiting for answers. I need to find out how all this became possible, how people so close to me, like Eric and Myron, could drag me into their games of manipulation and influence. I grab the handle, take a deep breath, and knock on the door. In response, Myron glances in my direction, detached, but with a quick reaction. His ability to make sudden but deliberate movements has always aroused my admiration, but today this has little relevance to our conversation. "Myron, I want to understand your intentions," I say, opening up, trying to overcome the trembling in my voice. "What are you really planning? What is this all for?" "Your husband first needed a child." Myron's answer did not come as a surprise to me. "And perhaps you needed him too. He asked for help, and I decided to support him. But now Eric has changed his priorities. I could answer all his words myself. The story with Eric and his health was familiar to me even before the wedding, when we first started dating. He has had problems with his data since childhood, and over time he learned to accept them as a given, without talking about the difficulties to his friends and acquaintances. As our relationship became more serious, he shared these details with me. Many would break off the relationship if they learned about such problems. But love is different from the selection of a stallion for breeding. At that time, I had just graduated from university and was full of enthusiasm about our future. I was fascinated by my friend's smart, assertive, stable brother. His sporty appearance, masterpieces of floristry as a gift, and the offer to move in with him confused me. I so longed for independence and freedom. It seemed to me that this was a way to make my parents proud of me, although I did not yet fully understand that real independence requires completely different efforts. But why did you choose me? How could all this even happen? I return to my question, trying to maintain composure. Myron calmly sits down in his chair, leaning his powerful hands on the tabletop, while I, standing in front of him on a thin carpet, thoughtfully shift from foot to foot, glancing briefly at the pattern, looking at distant countries. "Maybe sit down," he suggests, nodding towards a chair decorated with soft fabric. But I simply shake my head in refusal. "I offered to ransom you. Eric is friendly. The necessary funds were available." He speaks with such calm poise that the deal being discussed is about an old chair, and not about the fate of living people. Myron's words are pronounced so easily and calmly that more and more questions arise in my head. How can you talk so calmly about buying a person? A variety of thoughts come to mind about the possible reasons for such decisions. But why me? Why did you agree to this move? I have no intention of sitting down. This whole situation is on its feet and soberly requires reflection. Myron sighs slowly, a hint of weariness, or perhaps pity, in his eyes. "You know that all this is far from simple. Eric couldn't cope with the repairs, and decided that it would be easier for both him and you." His voice now sounds softer. "As for me, there are certain obligations that I always try to choose. I will crunch my numbers, trying to tame the anger and insult that has so unexpectedly taken hold of me. And what kind of people honestly forced you to enter this game? My question sounded harsh, accusing. Myron gets up from his seat, it seems to me, and I feel how my heart usually beats in anticipation of his answer. Melissa, there are moments in life when you have to make decisions not immediately, but with an understanding of all events. His eyebrows frown, as if for him every subsequent word is weighed and thought out. You are the mother of my son, my assistant, and I consider it my duty to provide both of you with what is provided by right of blood and fairness. This is my decision. I silently evaluate his words, trying to find hidden meaning or lies in them, but everything seems too simple and at the same time difficult to understand. Myron seems as determined as ever, but now his decision changes my life forever. I come to the conclusion that I need time to comprehend all this and understand how to continue in these conditions. Trying to suppress my excitement, I find the strength within myself and finally ask, "And what will happen now, Myron? How do you see our future?" He looks at me directly. There is frankness in his eyes. You and your partner will live here in safety and sufficiency. I promise that you will not lack for anything during the pandemic, and will have all the freedom to decide your personal affairs, he says. I don't plan to constrain you with any conditions, but I would like your face to grow to the left of your parents. I nod, looking carefully into his face, trying to catch hints of hidden pitfalls, but nothing like that can be seen in his facial expression. What if I want to leave? My voice trembles with uncertainty. Myron thinks for a moment, then answers, "If there is time, and you decide that it would be better for you and your partner to live somewhere else, we will discuss it. But the partner is my son, and I will be a part of his life." I remain standing in silence, digesting what I heard. This all sounds incredible and confusing, but it seems I have a way out. "Okay," I finally say, "I'll stay. But we will live the way I and my behavior need it. And if I think it's time for us, I count on your support." Myron nods, letting me know that he accepts my terms. We stand on the threshold of a new life, full of unknowns, but also of possibilities. I have a lot to learn about myself and about Myron, about the strong connection that unexpectedly included him in my life forever. Looking at his confident and open position, I understand that the main path lies ahead of us, but also that we will find a way to go through it together with our partner, becoming a reliable family. Thus, a chapter of pain and confusion closes, and a new chapter opens of opportunity and a beginning, where we were gradually able to build an honest and open relationship between us and our son.